The first thing Marcus Cole felt was warmth. It pressed against his chest, his arms, his legs. Soft and alive. Breathing. He tried to open his eyes, but they felt heavy, like stones had been placed on them. His body refused to move. Every muscle ached with a deep pain that told him something terrible had happened. But what? His mind was fog. Thick, dark fog with no shape inside it. Then he heard a sound. A soft chirp. Like a bird, but different. Musical and strange. With great effort, Marcus forced his eyes open. The light was dim, coming from somewhere above. Emergency lights, he realized. Red and weak. He was lying on something hard. A floor, metal floor. The smell of burned circuits and recycled air filled his nose. And there, curled around him like living blankets, were three creatures he had never seen before. They were small. Each one was no bigger than a house cat. Their bodies were covered in scales that caught the red light and turned it into colors. Blues and greens and soft golds. They had long necks and tails, and their heads were shaped like something between a lizard and a wolf. Small wings, folded tight against their backs, rose and fell with each breath. Dragons. They looked like tiny dragons. The largest one lifted its head. Its scales were the color of old copper, and its eyes were bright amber. Around its thin neck hung a small device, like a collar with a box attached. The creature looked at Marcus with an expression he could not read. Then it made a series of sounds. Clicks and whistles and soft growls. The device on its neck crackled. A mechanical voice came out, flat and strange. "You are awake." We waited. 47 cycles we waited. Marcus tried to speak, but his throat was dry as sand. He coughed. The second creature, smaller than the first with scales of deep blue, scrambled away and returned moments later. It held a container in its small clawed hands. Water. It pressed the container to Marcus's lips with surprising gentleness. He drank. The water was stale, but it was the best thing he had ever tasted. "Where?" he managed to say. His voice was rough, broken. "Where am I?" The copper-scaled creature tilted its head. "You are on our ship. What remains of it? You came from the sky in a small vessel. It crashed into our hull. We pulled you from the wreckage." Memory came back in pieces. Sharp and painful. The mission. First contact with the Sky Re delegation. The meeting that was supposed to change everything. Then alarms. Fire. An explosion that tore through both ships like the hand of an angry god. Marcus remembered running. Remembered the faces of his crew. Remembered throwing himself into an escape pod as the world became flame and noise. "My crew," he said. "The others. Are they?" The copper creature's ears, small and pointed, pressed flat against its head. It said nothing. That was answer enough. Marcus closed his eyes. Grief was a cold wave washing over him. But there was no time for grief. Not yet. He forced himself to focus. To think. "Who are you?" he asked. The creature sat up straighter. Its two siblings moved closer, watching Marcus with wide, curious eyes. The smallest one had scales of pale silver, almost white. It could not have been more than a baby. "I am Vesca," the copper creature said through the translator. "These are my siblings, Tareem." The blue one dipped its head. "And Keth." The silver baby pressed itself against Marcus's side and did not move. "We are Skyri," Vesca continued. "Our parents were part of the delegation. They were diplomats. They came to meet your people." "Were," Marcus said quietly. Vesca's eyes dimmed. "The explosion. They protected us. They used their bodies as shields. Mother was still alive when the fire stopped. For a little while. She told us what to do." "What did she tell you?" The translator crackled as Vesca spoke. The words came out slow and careful. "Find a human. Protect him. He will protect you. Marcus stared at the small creature. 3 children, orphaned in the void between stars. Their parents had died protecting them, and with their last breath, they had placed their faith in a stranger, in a species they had never met face to face. Why? He asked. Why did she believe that? Veska's tail curled around its own body. A gesture of comfort, Marcus thought. Our people have watched yours for many generations. Your signals, your broadcasts, your stories. We have seen your wars, your cruelty, the terrible things you do to each other. The creature paused. But we have also seen other things. Your soldiers carrying wounded enemies to safety. Your people running into burning buildings to save strangers. Your stories of heroes who give everything for those they love. Torem, the blue sibling, spoke for the first time. Its translator was older, the voice more broken. Mother said humans have a fire inside. A fire that makes them fight when fighting is foolish. That makes them hope when hope is gone. Little Kath pressed harder against Marcus's side. She made a small sound, not translated, just a tiny chirp of need. Marcus looked down at the silver creature, at her siblings watching him with eyes full of something he recognized. Trust. The kind of trust that children give because they have no other choice. 40-7 days. These 3 small beings had kept him alive for 47 days. They had shared their heat with his cold body. They had given him water, fed him somehow. In a broken ship drifting through empty space, they had chosen to save a stranger because their dying mother told them to. He did not deserve that faith. He was just a man, broken and lost and grieving. But as he looked at those 3 small faces, something shifted inside him. The grief did not disappear. The pain did not fade. But underneath it all, something else woke up. Something old and stubborn and impossibly human. He was not going to let these children die. Marcus placed his hand on Kath's small head. Her scales were warm and smooth. She leaned into his touch and closed her eyes. Okay, he said. His voice was still rough, but it was stronger now. Okay, tell me everything. How bad is the ship? How much food do we have? How much air? Veska's ears lifted slightly. You will help us? Marcus looked at the small copper creature, at her siblings, at the dim red lights and the damaged walls and the vast cold darkness waiting outside. Your mother was right, he said. I am going to protect you. All 3 of you. I do not know how yet, but I promise you this. We are going to survive. Together. Kath made another small sound. This time, the translator picked it up. Family, she said. Marcus felt something break inside his chest. Something that had been hard and cold for a very long time. Yeah, he said quietly. Family. The days that followed were hard. Marcus learned of the shape of his new world piece by piece. The ship was called the Velar. It had been a diplomatic vessel, built for comfort and conversation, not for battle or survival. The explosion had torn away nearly half of it. What remained was a twisted shell of metal and broken dreams drifting through the cold. Between stars, Marcus spent the first day just learning to walk again. His muscles had grown weak during his long sleep. Veska stayed close, watching him with careful eyes. Torem explored ahead, checking corners and doorways. Little Kath refused to leave his side. She walked when he walked and stopped when he stopped. On the second day, Marcus asked Veska to show him everything. They walked through dark hallways lit only by emergency lights. Some doors would not open. Behind them, Marcus knew, were parts of the ship that no longer existed. Just vacuum and stars. The living quarters were small, but had survived mostly intact. 4 sleeping chambers. The 3 siblings had been using one. The others still held the belongings of their parents. Vesca would not go inside those rooms. Her ears pressed flat whenever they passed the doors. The food storage was nearly empty. Marcus counted what remained. Dried protein blocks. Some kind of preserved fruit. Water recycled and filtered. Maybe 3 weeks of supplies if they were very careful. Maybe less. How did you feed me? Marcus asked. While I was sleeping, Taurim's translator crackled. We made paste. Mixed water with protein. Pushed small amounts into your mouth. Waited for you to swallow. It took many hours each day. Marcus stopped walking. He looked at the blue-scaled sibling. Taurim was young. So young. But his eyes held a weight that did not belong to a child. You kept me alive, Marcus said. For 47 days. You could have eaten that food yourselves. You could have let me die and survived longer. Vesca answered from behind him. Mother told us to protect you, but why did you listen? I was a stranger, an alien. You had never seen a human before. The 3 siblings looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Skyri family bonds, Marcus would later learn, ran deeper than humans could understand. They shared feelings. Not words, but emotions. A connection that distance could not break. Finally, Vesca spoke. Do you want to see? She led him to a small room near the center of the ship. It had survived the explosion without damage. Inside was a table with a glowing screen built into its surface. Vesca touched it with her claws, and the screen came alive with images. Humans. Hundreds of images of humans. Our people have been watching yours for 100 of your years, Vesca said. We received your radio signals, your television broadcasts, your emergency messages sent into space. We collected everything, studied everything. The images changed. Wars, soldiers with weapons, cities burning. Marcus felt shame rise in his chest. Humanity's worst moments, broadcast to the stars for anyone to see. We saw this, Vesca said. The Skyri Council debated for many years. Some said humans were too dangerous, too violent. They said we should hide from your people forever. She touched the screen again. New images appeared. A firefighter carrying a child from a burning building. Doctors working through the night to save strangers. A soldier holding the hand of a dying enemy, giving comfort in the final moments. People forming human chains to rescue strangers from floods. A man giving his last piece of bread to a hungry child he did not know. But we also saw this, Vesca said softly. We saw humans do impossible things for each other. Not for money, not for power, just because someone needed help. Taurim stepped forward. Our scholars could not understand. Your people are not logical. You give your lives for strangers. You fight battles you cannot win. You love creatures that are not even your own species. Little Kath pressed against Marcus's leg. She looked up at him with silver eyes. Mother said that is what makes humans special, Kath said through her small translator. She said humans have big hearts. Hearts that do not know when to stop. Marcus felt his eyes grow wet. He blinked hard and looked away. Vesca continued. The council finally agreed to send a delegation. Our parents volunteered. They believed in humans. They believed your people could become our greatest allies. Or our greatest friends. And then the explosion happened, Marcus said quietly. Yes, we do not know what caused it. A malfunction. An accident. Perhaps something else. But when the fire came, our parents did not run. They covered us with their bodies. They burned so we would not burn. The room was silent, except for the hum of dying machines. Marcus knelt down so he was level with the 3 siblings. Vesca stood proud, but he could see her trembling. Taurim's claws dug into the floor. Kath's eyes were wide and wet. Your mother gave you a mission, Marcus said. "She told you to find me, to protect me. And you did." For 47 days, 3 children kept a grown man alive through nothing but stubbornness and love. He placed his hands on Veska's shoulders. Her scales were warm under his palms. "Now I am giving you a new mission," he said. "I need you to trust me. I need you to believe in me the way your mother believed in humans. Because I am going to get us out of this. I do not know how yet. The math does not work. The food is almost gone. The air will run out before we reach anywhere safe." He looked at each of them in turn. Copper and blue and silver. 3 small lives depending on him. "But I am human," he said. "And humans do not let math tell us what is possible. Your mother was right about us. We have a fire inside, and I am going to use every bit of that fire to save you. All 3 of you. I swear it." Keth threw herself at him. Her small arms wrapped around his neck. Her wings fluttered against his chest. Torim pressed against his side. Veska stood still for a moment longer, then stepped forward and rested her head against his shoulder. Marcus held them. These strange small creatures who had given everything to keep him alive. He thought about their parents, burning to save their children. He thought about the faith they had placed in humanity. He would not let that faith be wrong. Outside the ship, the stars turned slowly in the endless dark. Inside, a human and 3 young dragons held each other and prepared to fight the impossible. Marcus did not know if they would survive. The odds were bad. The math was cruel, but the fire inside him was burning brighter than it had in years. And he knew, with a certainty that went beyond logic, that he would die before he let these children fall. That was what it meant to be human. That was the fire, the Skyri had seen in all those broadcasts. And now, at the edge of the void, Marcus Cole was going to show them that the fire was real. Marcus did not sleep that night, or the night after. He sat in the engine room surrounded by broken machines and flickering screens. Veska sat beside him, reading from technical manuals stored in the ship's damaged computers. Her translator worked hard to turn Skyri engineering terms into words Marcus could understand. The problem was simple. The solution was impossible. The nearest safe place was a moon called Veth 4. The Skyri had a small research station there. If Marcus could reach it, they would be saved. But Veth 4 was 10 days away at the speed the damaged ship could manage. They had 6 days of oxygen left. "The math does not work," Veska said quietly. She had said this many times already. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead and stared at the engine. It was alien technology. Nothing like the machines he knew. But engines were engines. They all followed the same basic rules. Power in, movement out. Find the broken parts. Fix them. Make them work harder. "Tell me again about the backup systems," he said. Veska's ears twitched. "The backup systems are for the comfort areas. Climate control. Water heating. Entertainment screens. They are not connected to the main engines, but they have power cells. Yes, small ones. For local use only." Marcus smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had found a door that everyone else had missed. "Show me where they are." All of them. The next 3 days were a blur of work and pain. Marcus tore into the ship's walls with tools he barely understood. He pulled out power cells from climate systems. He stripped wiring from entertainment units. He took apart water heaters and extracted their energy cores. Torim became his helper. The blue sibling had quick claws and sharp eyes. He could reach spaces too small for human hands. He held tools and passed materials and never complained, even when his claws grew sore from gripping. Lil Kath kept watch. She sat at a window that looked out into space, her silver eyes scanning the darkness. Marcus did not know what she was watching for. Other ships, dangers, maybe just the stars themselves. But she took her job seriously. She never left her post except to eat and sleep. Vesca translated and guided. Her knowledge of scary technology was not complete, but it was enough. Together, she and Marcus solved problems that should have been impossible. On the second day, Marcus cut his hands on a sharp piece of metal. Blood ran down his fingers and dripped onto the floor. Keth made a sound of distress and ran to get bandages. Marcus wrapped his hands and kept working. On the third day, his legs gave out from exhaustion. He fell to the floor and could not get up. Tarim and Vesca pressed against him, sharing their heat, while Keth brought water to his lips. He rested for 1 hour. Then he stood up and continued. "Why do you not stop?" Vesca asked on the third night. Her voice through the translator sounded confused, almost frightened. "Your body is failing. You have not slept. You have barely eaten. Logic says you should rest. Recover your strength." Marcus laughed. It was a tired sound. "Logic says we should all be dead already. That is true." He turned to look at her. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. His hands were wrapped in bloody bandages. But the fire inside him burned as bright as ever. "You waited 47 days for me to wake up," he said. "You could have eaten that food. You could have let me die and lived a little longer yourselves. But you did not. You made a choice that logic could not explain." Vesca lowered her head. "Mother told us to protect you, and I am telling you that I will protect you. That is not logic either. That is love. That is what your people saw in those broadcasts. Humans doing things that make no sense because our hearts tell us to." He turned back to the engine. His modified power system was almost complete. Dozens of small cells, all wired together, all feeding into the main drive. "I do not know if this will work," he admitted. "The design is strange. I am using pieces that were never meant to connect. But I have to try, because the alternative is sitting still and waiting to die. And humans are very bad at that." Vesca was quiet for a long moment. Then she stepped forward and picked up a tool. "Then we will help you try," she said. "That is also the Skyry way. When someone we love is fighting, we fight beside them." Tarim appeared at Marcus's side with a bundle of wires. Keth left her watching post and carried a small power cell in her tiny claws. Together, the four of them worked through the night. When the sun rose on the fourth day, Marcus connected the last wire. The engine hummed. Then it roared. The whole ship shook as new power flooded through systems that had been dead for weeks. Vesca checked the readings. Her ears went straight up. "Speed has increased," she said. Her voice trembled with hope. "The new calculations say we will reach Veth 4 in 8 days. 8 days. They still only had 6 days of oxygen. But 8 was better than 10. The gap was shrinking. Marcus was already moving. What else can we reduce? What systems are using air that we do not need? For the next 2 days, they worked together to close off parts of the ship. They sealed doors. They shut down systems. They made their living space smaller and smaller, trapping every bit of air they could. On the 6th day, Marcus calculated again. 7.5 days to Veth 4. 7 days of oxygen remaining. The gap was almost closed. But almost was not enough. Marcus stared at the numbers. His body was broken. His hands were bleeding through the bandages. He had not slept more than a few hours in nearly a week, but he could not stop. Not yet. Not when they were so close. "There has to be something else," he muttered. "Something we are missing." Keth tugged at his sleeve. He looked down at her small silver face. "The cold sleep," she said. Marcus frowned. "What?" Vesca's eyes went wide. "The medical bay. There are cold sleep chambers. They were for long journeys. If we are sleeping cold, we use much less air. Hope exploded in Marcus's chest. He grabbed Vesca and hugged her so hard, she squeaked. "Show me," he said. "Show me right now." The chambers were damaged but not destroyed. 3 of them still worked. 3 chambers for 3 young Skyri. Marcus would have to stay awake. Someone had to pilot the ship. Someone had to watch for danger, but the children could sleep. They could dream their way to safety while he kept them alive. "I am scared," Keth whispered as Marcus helped her into the chamber. He knelt down and touched her face. "I know, but I will be here when you wake up. I promise. You will not leave?" "Never." She closed her eyes. The chamber hummed and frost began to form on the glass. Turim went next, then Vesca. The copper sibling looked at Marcus through the closing door. "Thank you," she said, "for being what Mother believed you were." The door sealed. The frost spread. 3 small dragons slept in the cold while a human stood guard. Marcus turned to the control room. One more day. One more impossible day. He would not sleep. He would not stop, because that was the human way. The alarm woke Marcus from a sleep he did not remember starting. He had tried to stay awake. He had walked through the empty halls. He had talked to himself. He had pinched his skin until it bruised. But somewhere in the 5th day of flying alone, his body had finally betrayed him. He had collapsed in the pilot's chair and darkness had taken him. Now red lights were flashing. The alarm was screaming. And something was very wrong. Marcus forced his tired eyes to focus on the screens. His heart stopped. Another ship. Larger than the Velar. Faster. It was coming toward them from the darkness. He reached for the communication controls. Maybe it was help. Maybe the Skyri had sent a rescue party. Maybe everything would be okay. The screen flickered. A face appeared. It was not Skyri. The creature on the screen had gray skin stretched tight over a skull-like face. Its eyes were small and black like dead stars. Tattoos covered its neck and cheeks. Behind it, Marcus could see other creatures moving. All of them armed. All of them watching with hungry eyes. "Damaged vessel," the creature said. Its voice was cold and flat. "You will stop your engines. You will prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in death." Marcus did not move. His mind was racing. "Who are you?" he asked. The creature's thin lips pulled back to show pointed teeth. "We are Kethvori. We are collectors. We take what the void leaves behind." Those dead eyes scanned the screen. "We detect 3 Skyri life signs in cold sleep. Young ones. Very valuable. We also detect something else. Something strange." "Are you the strange one?" Marcus said nothing. "What are you?" the creature asked. "You do not match any species in our records. I am human." The Kethvori tilted its head. "Human. We do not know this word. But it does not matter. You will surrender the young ones. You will surrender any cargo of value. If you cooperate, we may allow you a quick death." Marcus looked at the screen. He looked at the face of the creature that wanted to take his children. Because that is what they were now. His children. The ones he had sworn to protect. Something changed in his eyes. The tiredness did not go away. The pain did not fade. But underneath it all, a cold fire began to burn. "No," he said. The Kethvori blinked. "No, you do not understand. You have no weapons. Your ship is damaged. You cannot run. You cannot fight. You will die if you resist." Marcus leaned forward. His voice was quiet, but it filled the room like thunder. "Let me tell you what is going to happen. You are going to turn your ship around. You are going to fly away and never come back. And if you do not, if you try to take those children, I'm going to find a way to kill every single one of you. I do not care if it costs me my life. I do not care if the math says it is impossible. Those children are under my protection, and I will burn this entire ship down around us before I let you touch them." The HFY stared at him. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the creature laughed. It was an ugly sound, sharp and cruel. "You are amusing, strange one. I will enjoy breaking you." The screen went dark. Marcus was already running. The Vellum was a diplomatic ship. It was not built for fighting, but every ship had defenses. Every ship had something. He found it in a small room near the hull. A point defense turret, designed to destroy small asteroids and space debris. It was old and damaged, but it still worked. Marcus did not have time to aim it himself. He needed to pilot the ship. He needed to avoid the HFY weapons. He needed help. His hand shook as he ran to the medical bay. The cold sleep chambers hummed softly. 3 small forms lay behind frosted glass. He woke them one by one. Veska came out shivering and confused. Tarim stumbled and nearly fell. Little Kath cried out in fear and clung to Marcus's leg. "Listen to me," Marcus said. His voice was urgent but calm. "There is a bad ship coming. Bad people who want to hurt us. I need your help to fight them." Veska's eyes went wide. "Fight? We are children. We do not know how to fight. You know how to press buttons. You know how to read screens. You know how to be brave." Marcus knelt down and looked at each of them. "I cannot do this alone. I need you. All 3 of you. Can you be brave for me one more time?" Kath was still crying. Tears ran down her silver scales. But she nodded. "I will try," she whispered. Tarim placed his claw on Marcus's hand. "Tell us what to do." Veska took a deep breath. Her ears pressed back, then slowly rose again. "We are Skyri. We do not abandon our family. Show us the way, Marcus. We will follow." They took their positions. Veska sat beside Marcus in the control room. Her job was to read the enemy's movements, to call out warnings, to help Marcus see what he could not see alone. Tarim was at the shield controls. The shields were weak and damaged, but every second they held was a second the ship survived. Little Kath sat at the turret controls. Her claws were almost too small for the buttons, but she watched the screen with fierce determination, ready to fire when Marcus gave the command. The HFY ship came fast. Marcus pushed the damaged engines to their limit. The ship groaned and shook. Alarms screamed. But he did not slow down. He twisted and turned through the void, making the HFY work for every shot. Enemy fire coming from the left. Veska shouted. Marcus rolled the ship. Energy bolts streaked past, close enough to shake the hull. "Shields at 60%. Tarim called out. 50, 40. "Kath, do you see them on your screen?" The little silver dragon nodded. Her eyes were locked on the display. "I see them. They are big. Wait for my signal. When I turn the ship, they will be right in front of you. That is when you fire. Understand?" Yes, Marcus flew like a madman. He did not know this ship. He did not know these controls. But he knew how to survive. He knew how to fight when fighting was the only choice. The HFY were good, but they were used to easy prey, damaged ships that surrendered without a fight. They did not expect this. They did not expect a human. Marcus saw his moment. A gap in their attack pattern. A chance. He threw the ship into a hard turn. The HFY vessel swung directly into Kath's targeting screen. "Now!" He shouted. KET fired. The turret was small. The blast was weak. It should not have done much damage, but Marcus had aimed for their engines. And Kath's shot hit perfectly. The HFY ship lurched. Smoke and fire poured from its back. It was not destroyed, but it was hurt. It was limping. Marcus pushed his engines harder. The gap between the ships began to grow. "They are falling behind," Veska cried. "They cannot catch us." The HFY commander appeared on the screen one last time. His dead eyes were filled with rage. "This is not over, human. We will find you." "We will." Marcus turned off the screen. Behind them, the HFY ship grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star in the darkness. That night, Marcus sat on the floor of the control room. He was too tired to move, too tired to think. His body was a wreck of exhaustion and pain, but he was not alone. 3 small bodies pressed against him. Veska on one side, Turim on the other. Little Keth curled in his lap, her wings wrapped around herself. "You saved us," Veska said softly. "We saved each other," Marcus replied. "That shot was amazing, Keth. You hit them perfectly." Keth looked up at him. Her silver eyes were still wet from crying earlier, but there was something else in them now. Something like pride. "You said I could do it," she said, "and I believed you." Marcus held her tighter. "Get some sleep," he said. "All of you? We still have 2 more days to fly." They did not go back to the cold sleep chambers. Instead, they stayed right where they were, curled around Marcus like living blankets. Just like when he first woke up. Just like family. The moon filled the window like a promise. HFY was not beautiful. Its surface was gray and rocky, covered with craters and dust. But to Marcus, it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Because HFY meant survival. It meant the children would live. "Beginning landing approach," Marcus said. His voice was rough. He had not slept more than a few hours since the battle with the HFY. His hands shook on the controls. But he held steady. He had not come this far to fail now. The 3 siblings crowded around the window, watching the moon grow larger. Keth pressed her small claws against the glass. Tareem's tail swished back and forth with excitement. Even Veska, usually so calm and serious, had wide eyes full of wonder. "We made it," she whispered. "Marcus, we actually made it." "Almost," he said. "We still have to land." And this ship was not built for landing. The approach was rough. The Velen shook and groaned as it entered the thin atmosphere. Heat built up on the hull. Warning lights flashed. Marcus fought the controls with everything he had left. The ground came up fast. "Too fast. Hold on." Marcus shouted. The crash was brutal. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. The world became noise and chaos and spinning darkness. Then silence. Marcus opened his eyes. He was still in his seat, held in place by the safety harness. Every part of his body hurt. But he was alive. "Veska? Tareem? Keth?" Small voices answered from behind him. Scared but unharmed. "We are okay," Veska said. "We are all okay." Marcus let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He unstrapped himself and turned around. 3 pairs of eyes looked back at him, frightened but trusting. "Come on," he said. "Let us see what we have to work with." The ship was finished. It would never fly again. But that did not matter anymore. They were on the ground. There was atmosphere outside, thin but breathable. And somewhere on this moon was a Skyri research station. Marcus opened the emergency hatch and stepped outside. The air was cold and thin. It tasted like dust and ice. But it was real air. Not recycled. Not filtered. Just the simple gift of a world with atmosphere. The siblings followed him out. Keth immediately began running around, chasing dust clouds kicked up by the wind. Tareem spread his small wings and felt the breeze. Veska stood beside Marcus and looked up at the sky. "Stars look different from the ground," she said. They do, Marcus agreed. They look like hope. They built a shelter from pieces of the broken ship. Marcus used techniques the siblings taught him. Sky rebuilding methods combined with human stubbornness. The result was ugly but strong. It kept out the cold and the wind. Days passed. Marcus found water in ice caves nearby. The siblings showed him which plants were safe to eat. They hunted small animals together, the children's natural instincts combining with Marcus's patience and planning. It was hard work. Every day was a fight for survival. But they faced it together. On the 7th day, Marcus found a flat area near a small lake. The water was dark blue, almost black. Strange plants grew along the edges. It was peaceful in a way that hurt his heart. He stood at the edge and stared at his reflection. A tired man looked back at him, thin and worn and covered in scars from the past weeks, but his eyes were bright, alive. Small body pressed against his leg. Kath looked up at him with her silver eyes. "What are you looking at?" she asked. "Just thinking," Marcus said, "about everything that happened, about how lucky we are." "Lucky?" Kath tilted her head. "We crashed. We almost died. Many times." Marcus smiled. He picked up a flat stone and showed it to her. "Watch this," he said. He threw the stone with a flick of his wrist. It skipped across the water. 1, 2, 3, 4 times before sinking. Kath's eyes went wide. "How did you do that?" "Practice. Many years of practice." "Want to try?" He handed her a stone. She threw it. It sank immediately. It did not work, she said, disappointed. "Try again." "It takes time." She tried again, and again. Each time the stone sank without skipping. But she did not give up. She kept throwing, her small claws gripping each stone with determination. On the 15th try, the stone skipped once. Kath screamed with joy. She jumped up and down, her wings flapping. "I did it. Marcus, I did it." Veska and Tarim came running to see what the noise was about. Soon all 3 siblings were trying to skip stones, laughing and competing and acting like the children they were supposed to be. Marcus sat on a rock and watched them. His eyes grew wet, but he did not wipe them. Some tears were meant to fall. The rescue ship came on the 12th day. They heard it first. A low rumble that grew into a roar. Then they saw it. A large vessel descending from the sky, painted with symbols Marcus did not recognize and symbols he did. Sky markings on one side, human flags on the other. A joint mission. The first of its kind. The ship landed near their shelter. A door opened. Figures emerged. Sky first. Adults, tall and graceful, their scales bright in the sunlight. They stopped when they saw the 3 children. Emotions Marcus could not read crossed their faces. Then humans. Men and women in uniform, carrying supplies and equipment. They stopped too, staring at the strange scene before them. Marcus stood between 2 worlds. A human in ragged clothes, surrounded by 3 small dragons who pressed against him with complete trust. A Sky commander stepped forward. She was tall, with scales the color of deep emeralds. Her eyes moved from the children to Marcus to the broken ship in the distance. "You are Commander Marcus Cole," she said. Her translator was smooth and clear. "We have been searching for survivors for many weeks. We did not expect to find anyone alive." "I had help," Marcus said. He placed his hands on Veska and Tarim's heads. Kath climbed onto his back and wrapped her arms around his neck. The commander watched this. Her expression was unreadable. "The children's parents," she said quietly. "They were my friends. We served together for many years. When the explosion happened, I feared the worst." They died protecting their children," Marcus said. "They told the children to find me, to protect me. They believed a human would protect them in return." "And did you?" Marcus looked at the three small faces around him, copper and blue and silver. His family. "We protected each other," he said. The commander was silent for a long moment. Behind her, the other Skyri and humans waited and watched. "Our people have debated for generations whether to make contact with humanity," she finally said. "Some called your species dangerous. Others called you unpredictable, chaotic, too violent to trust." She looked at the children clinging to Marcus, at the shelter he had built, at the evidence of weeks of survival against impossible odds. "I think we were looking at the wrong things," she said. "We focused on your wars, your weapons, your capacity for destruction. We did not understand that the same fire that drives you to fight is the fire that drives you to protect." She stepped forward and did something Marcus did not expect. She bowed, low and deep, with her wings spread wide. "Thank you, Marcus Cole. Thank you for saving our children." Behind her, every Skyri followed. They bowed as one, their scales catching the light like jewels. The human soldiers looked at Marcus with new eyes. One of them saluted, then another, then all of them. Marcus felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The fate of two species, changed by one crashed ship and one impossible journey. But he did not think about politics or history, or the future. He thought about a dying mother who believed in strangers. He thought about three children who never gave up. He thought about the fire inside him that refused to go out. Keth tugged at his hair. "Marcus," she whispered, "can we go home now?" He turned to look at her. This small silver creature who had called him family when he was still a stranger. "Yeah," he said. His voice cracked, but he did not care. "Yeah, we can go home." The rescue ship rose into the sky, carrying a human and three young dragons toward a future neither species had imagined. Behind them, the moon turned slowly in the light of distant stars, and somewhere, watching from whatever place the dead go, two Skyra parents smiled. Their faith had not been wrong. The fire was real, and it would burn forever.